Benjamin Hall joins me now. Benjamin, the president seemed to get everything he wants, but do you trust the Iranians to do anything about it, to fulfill their side of the deal?
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. And I think that's one of the reasons that, and I'll explain in a minute, how any money that's going over to them will be a pay for performance. So they don't get anything at all until they commit to the agreements that they have made. But look, in a short term, I think this is pretty successful. I think that the Straits of Hormuz are open, oil prices are shooting down, the world's economy is shooting back up again, their military has been totally diminished, and their navy has gone, their air force has gone. So those are all really positive. But where everyone is really looking right now is the nuclear agreement. And what we're hearing from President Trump, and what we are hearing also about reports about the agreement, which again, we haven't seen the final text of it yet, is that Iran has both agreed to neither develop or acquire a nuclear weapon, and that the enriched uranium they have is going to be removed from the country. That is absolutely key. And I think that, if you look at what was happening here, was to demolish Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon. Now, I will say that there are some people who hope the regime would fall. That is certainly not going to happen. And some people will say that the money going to Iran is a bit of a problem. There's a $300 billion reconstruction fund. There's $12 billion of frozen money that might be released. That's half of the total amount. But again, the US making it very clear that all of that will be a pay-for-performance amount. There is no mention, we believe, of their missile arsenal and trying to keep that down low, nor any mention of them stopping their funding of terror proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas. So a couple of those issues I think some people would have liked to see in this final agreement. But when it comes to the nuclear issue, which is what everyone was looking at, if they give up their enriched uranium, which they're going to talk about for the next 60 days, that is absolutely essential. But one other caveat, that the Iranian media, and you can never really trust exactly what they're going to say, but they've been saying today and yesterday that Iran will charge service fees for ships passing through the Straits of Hormuz after the first 60 days. And that also would be a concern. But if we begin this negotiation now, the proper negotiation, and after that we have to see whether the Iranians stand by their word.
President Trump's arrived in Geneva for the G7 summit. That's going to be in France. AI is obviously a primary focus. Top tech executives, including OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman and Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, they're going to be present. Have you ever seen anything like this before? World leaders meeting American high-tech titans. Ever seen that before?
Yeah. No, not in this way. Now, look, quite often you get business leaders who come over and they're on the surrounding these events. But I think what's absolutely key here is that for the first time, we are seeing these AI companies and AI leaders effectively becoming part of the geopolitical conversation. Look, President Trump is going out there. He's just turned 80 years old. He's just signed this peace deal. The market is about to hit all-time highs. And he is going out there saying America is in the strongest place it's been, both militarily, but also its AI. And AI now controls so much of the world, whether it's elections, whether it's military, whether it's government and tech and business. And these guys are effectively going to be having a real say moving forward. And I think that is the future. AI and their leaders are becoming bigger than just business leaders. They're becoming part of the future. And I think that's what everyone's going to have to be looking at right now. The Europeans, by the way, they want to sort of ring fence AI companies. They want rails around what they can do. But as AI companies are coming over and saying, let us loose, let us build, let us grow bigger. So fascinating to see them play this pivotal role. And at a time where President Trump is celebrating his birthday, the markets are sky high. So it's a pretty momentous event we're going to see.
He's saying, get out of America's way. Benjamin Hall, great stuff. Thanks for joining us. We will see you again.